Hello and welcome to Why with Seth and Parker. My name's Parker,
And my name's Seth.
and this is the weekly show where we tell corny jokes, give stupid answers to stupid questions, and see if we can hear the thunder from down under. How are you doing today, Seth?
You know what? I'm doing okay. It's finally nice enough. I got some time outside, took my dog on a walk. He tried to eat a bunch of grass. It was great. How are you, Parker?
Good. My dogs are not lawnmowers from what I've at least gathered recently. They've been running around wild in the backyard and just having a great time exploring the current season of spring, which kind of just slipped in unnoticed.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden it's here and I don't know what we're doing with it, but it's kind of flying by. Like summer's like around the corner. It feels like we're done with school. Our last day is Wednesday. Um,
Wow, that's coming
yes.
up pretty quick.
So I feel like summer's around the corner and we haven't even really gotten to I don't even remember the tornado sirens going off actually. That's kind of maybe
Yeah,
that's the real sign that it's the end of the times.
yeah, the tornadoes aren't going off the first Wednesday of the month.
Yeah. Or,
But
we haven't had any naders come down to get us with the wrath of God.
don't worry, it'll be around the corner soon enough.
I know it's like those the murder hornets. That's the wrath of God.
Yeah. So, Seth, I'm not sure if you noticed, but I did add a new first thing that we're doing this week, and that
Telling
is telling corny jokes.
You know what? I love that. You are
Good.
really
Do
Parker.
you
There are
know
very few things that you are good at, but you are good at corny jokes.
do you know why corny jokes are so good?
Why?
They always have a kernel of truth. You get it?
I, you can see my face. I wish everyone else could see my face, which is currently sheer disappointment and adoration towards you, Parker Heinze.
Well, good. I'll let you stew in that while I tell you about the best part of my week.
I'm so excited to hear this.
Okay, so the best part of this week was on a Reddit thread. It was a very sad Reddit thread. It was about how, unfortunately, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was in the hospital this week. I'm not sure if you heard this, but she's doing okay. She allegedly does not have that Rona yet. So thankfully, she's doing a-okay. But in one of the threads, they were talking about how, as a person who's not from the U.S., they know way too much about the U.S. Supreme Court because it was all about world news and they're trying to focus on the U.S. So they're like, I'm Canadian. I don't even know anyone about on the Canadian Supreme Court, but I know like three U.S. court justices. So someone responded like, "Yeah, no one knows anything about the Canadian Supreme Court. Just look them up." So I did this exact thing, and I want you to do it too, Seth. You and the people at home, look up the Canadian Supreme Court and then do an image search. And Seth, I want you to describe to the people at home what you see. Can you do
Okay,
that for me?
I will do my best for you. Are you ready? Are we ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I'm hitting enter and I'm going to images. Oh, it makes me think of Santa Claus.
Yes, they wear Santa Claus robes.
Maybe maybe Santa's like from Canada and not the North Pole, and we've been lying to our children all of these years.
It is honestly baffling how ridiculous the Canadian Supreme Court looks.
I mean, on one hand, yeah, ridiculous. On the other hand, like styling. Like I would wear that. Maybe in drag, but I would wear that.
You'd wear Canadian judicial robes?
Yeah. I I, I don't know. I'm just feeling because like they got this like nice little puffy over the shoulder thing, and then this puffy cloak that goes over their puffy robe.
Yeah, the only thing they need is the hat, then it would truly
I
tie
know.
together.
Well, and if I'm looking at this, I'm not just seeing one Santa either. I'm seeing several Santas, which is actually
Nine. Nine, in
nine.
fact.
Nine Santas, which is actually reassuring because I know a lot of children, they start to ask, how does Santa make it around the whole world in one night? Well, if Santa's actually based out of Canada, then the Canadian Supreme Court could be helping deliver those presents?
Here's my theory. I think that because there are multiple North Poles, like the geographic one, the magnetic one, and just a couple to like spread across the malls across the world. So that's why there's 9 Santas on the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and then plus the OG Santa.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one he is though, out of the 9.
And I don't know if he's pictured. I think he has like he
Maybe
only
he's the
come
one taking the picture.
yeah, because he only comes out for pictures like for 2.5 weeks around um, Christmas time.
Well, I'm glad that I could share that little piece of the world with you, and just it inspires my confidence on our neighbors to the Great White North.
You know what? The neighbors to the Great White North could like take over our government, and I wouldn't even complain.
I mean, I would. I'd wonder how the heck, like a nation of 12 people can take over the United States. Honestly, I think that the entire strategy for the US invasion of Canada is move the border north 1 mile each year, and we'll conquer it like in 25 years, because that's where everyone lives.
Let's do it, Parker. You and I, we can be in charge.
Well, Seth, did I ask you how your week is? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
talking about your dog.
yeah, you did, but you
Expand
didn't
on
really
that.
care.
Oh, not just because I didn't listen doesn't mean I don't care.
I just took my dog for some walks, and he's trying to chase squirrels and roll in grass and eat grass, and it's great.
Well, wonderful. Would you like to tell a corny joke, or should we dive into questions?
Let's dive into questions. I'm not ready for corny jokes yet.
Well, then
You,
go ahead and start us off.
okay, this first one actually kind of hits home, so I'd like to go ahead and talk about it. This is a continued debate among my friend groups. I have friends that are in education. I have friends in academia. I have friends that are in the English department at K-State. I have friends all over. So this is a continued debate among my friends. Parker, what is the superior citation format?
Well, I'm very glad that you asked me this because it's a very good question and one that does inspire a lot of rigorous debate. The answer of which, in my humble opinion, is it does not matter. I think that this is something that people focus on maybe a little too much. Because if I remember much about my um, career in writing essays, what was kind of important was that you are citing your sources, um, and that they're reliable sources and not just a random guy off the street who's telling you the world's going to end with murder hornets. What you want to do is you just need to cite it in a proper format and move on, whether that's MLA or Chicago or I forget the one I used in college. That's how important they are.
Okay, you know what? I see where you're coming from, and I'd like to affirm your position. What I would like to say is, for our audience, I really hope that our audience knows that we are a very credible source, and there are ways that you can cite podcasts and radio shows. So if you would, please just make sure you give us credit. We are very credible and ready to be cited in your works because we know what we're talking about 100%. We have done all
And
the research.
I would like to add that one of us is a Supreme Court justice in Canada. Not saying which one of us, but you can't tell us we're wrong because that court is fictitious.
So, but my answer, Parker, is, and I've used the three big ones: MLA, APA, and
Oh, that's the one.
Chicago.
That's the one, the APA.
APA, yeah. The psychology major used the American Psychological Association's
Hmm.
um, citation format, which is also the one we use in education. But I have a friend who's in the English department who is vehemently supportive of using MLA. Um, I have another friend with science background who is very into APA. And I have a friend with a social studies background who is really into Chicago. So when we get together, it's a great time.
Yeah, what I'm going to probably tack onto that is it's not about the format, it's about following the directions and the norms. It doesn't really matter if MLA is better than APA. It matters which one they want you to use.
But should we have one universal citation format? That way we know what's happening and what's expected.
That's just like the sentence putting things in quotation marks. So the world's ending because of murdered hornets. And then you put a little dash and then say, Craig, my friend who lives on the corner.
Or
Boom.
why was Seth and
Universal
Parker?
citation. Yep. So probably don't ask the guy who hasn't written a paper in the better part of the decade.
I'd agree with that. But
Well,
and honestly, Parker, I'd agree. They all serve their purpose for different walks of life. When I was in high school, all we used was MLA. When I went to college, we at the Christian college we did Chicago Turabian, and then when I went to K State, we used well, in my writing classes we did MLA, and then we had to switch to APA. Uh, so that was a good discussion. Thank you, Parker. I needed that. That was
you're
very.
welcome. Hopefully you can cut this sign out and send it to all your friends.
I am actually going to. They're going to know probably before everyone else what the official ruling of why with Seth and Parker is.
Well, good to know. Then I'm going to ask another question. Sound
Yes,
good?
let's.
Okay, this question comes from the wonderful, beautiful site of Reddit, and from what I can only assume is a sociopath. It says, can spiders live if it's suddenly missing a few legs? Why I say this is probably from a sociopath is spiders don't suddenly miss a few legs.
Well, so
That's
I
not
would
something
say
spiders do.
the missing a few legs is what got me on the sociopath side. But what is catching me is suddenly, like just by chance they wake up and their legs are gone. Someone removes their legs. They chew off their own legs. Like, how did it get to missing a few legs?
What I might think that they're coming from is that, spiders' legs are very, very tiny.
Mm-hmm.
Although proportionally to their body, it's quite normal that they're that size. So maybe they're thinking like a spider can put too much weight on one of their 7 legs and just like snap it in half.
How many legs does a spider have, Parker?
Traditionally 8,
Okay, thank you. Continue.
unless a sociopath has recently become involved in this spider's life.
Mm-hmm. Or, a little child that doesn't know how to treat animals.
I think my statement still stands.
Okay, Parker. I feel like this is one of those square and rectangle things. Like, all children are sociopaths, but not all sociopaths are children, you know?
Yeah, but I know I didn't pull apart spiders when I was on camping trips in Missouri.
Oh, I didn't. I was terrified of spiders.
What I did is I say daddy longlegs are very, very venomous. Their fangs are just too small to bite you, which is not true,
That's what I've heard, though. But I saw that
but
on the internet, Parker.
not true.
Are you sure?
I am pretty sure. But to return to the question, I'm wondering whether we should say like, are the few legs like near each other or like spread out across the 8? Like if you took off half on one side, like sorry, all the legs, 4 legs on the right side, then it couldn't walk no more
Mm-hmm.
because it'd be all left.
Mm-hmm. Which I think would make an issue with, its survival. And then,
Hmm.
therefore, it can't live.
Well, I feel like 4 might be a little bit too many. I think it'd result in blood loss regardless of where the legs were taken off of.
But, like, do they just, like, dislocate and pop out, or do they bleed? Like,
It
that's
says
all
missing.
missing. So, like,
Missing, I
I
think
when
is
I
the
hear
keyword.
missing, I think, like, maybe it's cauterized and there's no blood loss and they just don't have the legs.
Okay, that is a good amendment. I think we should run with that rule. That they are suddenly cauterized. I feel like if you got like the front center left and the back right, like you still have 6 out of your 8 legs, and there's 3 on each side. I think you'd be okay if you're a spider.
Yeah, like, that's exactly where
You
my
wouldn't be a
mind went.
happy spider, but you'd be okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went. So if we're on the same page, we must be right.
Yeah, so 2 or less, the spider can keep on going. 3 or
Mhm.
more,
Might be a little wobbly.
what if we had 2 adjacent? So like the front 2 left.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have the back 2 right and all sorry, back 2 left and all the right legs left. You still going to spider school? You Still being a web
Yeah.
designer?
I think you might be hey now. I think you might be a little wobbly, but I think that you could make it work. Um,
But would he still be able to spin
it
webs?
I was gonna say I don't know. It just um, yeah, I don't know. Potentially, I mean the legs have well, they kind of have something to do with spinning webs. Never mind.
The back ones, though, not the front ones, right?
Yeah, but then can they like move with their front ones? I think they can make it work.
Okay.
We have people that are don't have appendages that make life work very well in their favor.
Do you feel like we adequately explored that question, Seth?
I think so.
Then why don't you get us another one?
Oh, I didn't, Parker. You know I didn't actually read through these questions before we started this.
That's why I do eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna ask this one. Why do people keep their wallets in their back pocket, and why is there a link on here, Parker?
I don't know,
You
because
put
I'm
a
bad at
link.
copying and pasting
There's
things.
a link on this to Reddit.
Well,
Anyway,
there you go. That's where I got it from
now,
then, I guess.
now before we explore this question, though, Parker, where do you keep your wallet?
I keep my wallet, for any gypsies listening to this, in my front left pocket.
You keep in your front left
How about
pocket.
you, Seth?
Well, it depends. If I need to keep it in my pants, it's in my front
Front.
left pocket also actually. Um, but usually I've actually started carrying around it's my man bag, my man purse, my purse, whatever you want to call it, my shoulder bag. And so I usually keep it in there. But
We'll revisit this at a later date, but I will tell you that I used to keep my wallet in
mhm.
my back left pocket. It used to be back left pocket was the wallet, front left pocket is keys, and front right pocket's phone. Sound
Yeah,
pretty standard so far?
yeah, I'm following.
And
And
then
then you
back
made a
right
switch at some
is if
point.
someone really wants to get to know me.
Yeah, but you've made that change recently. So are your
Not
phone
recently, because I made this change in high school.
okay?
Because I would be sitting on my buttocks for 8 hours every single day during high school.
Hmm.
And that does bad things for your back when one cheek is elevated above the other.
Yeah. And
So
Parker,
that
we
kind of
all know that you have
spine,
ass for days. So,
exactly. So that makes the spine slightly crooked.
hmm,
So I moved my wallet to my front pockets to make sure that my buttocks is all the cushion I need to make my spine happy and healthy.
I went through a similar experience where this is not good for my back. I'm going to start carrying my wallet in my front pocket, and so I did. But one of the changes I actually do, and I usually remove it before sitting down, but I actually keep my phone in my back pocket more often now. Just when I'm walking. I don't know why. It's just I started doing it, and now that's my habit.
Interesting.
So
Another reason why I suggest putting in the front pocket is because it's a lot less easy to steal.
yeah.
Because if you have your wallet in your back pocket, then you're just kind of looking for trouble. I'll be honest with you.
Parker, you're always looking for trouble. You need
Well, yeah, but
something to
not that
spice up the
kind of.
life.
Well, that's why they make the bandana code.
Oh.
Yeah.
Parker, you want to tell our
It,
listeners about the bandana code?
nope. If you're over the age of 16, just look it up.
Okay. Parker, what bandanas do you carry?
Um, Shamrock. Um, then there's one with Hello Kitty on it. Um, and then there is one that is half maroon and half chartreuse.
Oh, I don't know what
All in the
those
left
mean.
pocket. Neither do I.
But hey, I'm glad that you're sporting your game and enjoying it. My
Exactly.
favorite three handkerchiefs that I like to carry are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Did you say just 5 things about Shaq?
No, the three different handkerchiefs I carry. Those are the colors.
Shaq was one of them?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
I feel like those were a different language than I recognize.
Yeah, probably. It is what it is. So. Okay. Well,
Beth, would you like to explain to the listeners at home what the bandana code is?
I really don't. Yeah, you brought it up. You can explain it or they can look it up on their own.
They can look it up. They're smart people, as long as you cite your sources.
Why was Seth and Parker is a source.
That's true.
So,
That's
Parker,
not a
one thing
very
I noticed,
reliable one.
no, it's the most reliable source actually.
Okie dokie. Sorry, Seth.
According to several resources and people that I have talked to about our show.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
I was just saying we are a very credible source, according to several people and fans that vet our show very carefully when they watch it.
We're not taking advice or list credible sources from a man who thought we landed on Mars.
Parker, that was 4 years ago. Can you just leave it be?
I feel like you were trying to trap me with the how many legs does a spider have thing.
No, I was asking you a question. Anyways,
What if I had gotten it wrong?
you're canceled. Parker, I noticed it looks like we're halfway through our questions on today's list.
Well, then I just do dare wonder where people can send their questions.
Well,
Seth.
my first question was going to be, Parker, did we get any new questions since our last show?
No.
Okay.
Where would we have gotten them, Seth? Please tell us that email.
We would have gotten them at sethandparker@gmail.com. Parker and I check this email regularly. We would love it if you send us questions. Again, that email is sethandparker@gmail.com. sethandparker@gmail.com.
The only emails we got there was saying that you logged into our account.
Yeah, I saw that. That's the most action that email's got in a while. But I'd also like to throw out, since we are uploading these to YouTube as our primary platform right now, people could comment on our videos and ask questions. Or if, God forbid, our friends and family are listening, they could ask us personally and say, hey, you should talk about this in your show.
I've got some bad news for you. I don't have friends or family. It's just me.
Well, Parker, never mind. You can't count me as a friend either.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I'm just a
I
figment
digress.
of your imagination.
One of many, actually, but you're one of my favorites.
At least I know the word chartreuse, unlike some figments of your imagination.
Yeah, those ones we judge a lot. Would you like to ask a question, Parker?
I think I would. This one comes from Yahoo Answers, because that place is just a laugh a minute. It asks, is it safe to flush grapes down the toilet? Seth,
How?
what is your opinion on this?
Why would you flush grapes down the toilet?
It's not asking what's a good reason. It's asking, is it safe?
I would say, okay, so
Let's say you have contraband grapes.
and you're about your house. Okay, I get it. Your house is about to get raided, and you need to get rid of these foreign grapes that are not allowed on
Or
American
maybe
soil.
you're in prison and someone has smuggled you in some nice fresh fruit. But
Oh.
the cops coming around and you need to flush them down the toilet. And they're wondering, is it safe or is it coming back up? And the guard's like, you just tried to flush grapes down the toilet. It's solitary with you.
Well, okay, so I think it depends on what your normal toilet flushing habits are. Because if you are a sociopath who is flushing wipes or lots of
Like children.
toilet paper down the toilet, I would be worried because even though the wipes say they are flushable, they are not. You should not be flushing wipes down the toilet. And so if you are doing that, don't flush the grapes down the toilet because that's even more likely to get clogged and backed up. However, if you are not flushing it, extra stuff down the toilet aside from the traditional toilet paper, then you should be good to go.
So don't flush flushable wipes, but do flush grapes, is what you're saying.
Yes. Only if you have not flushed flushable wipes. If you have, forget the grapes.
I do find grapes a very peculiar item that you'd want to be flushing. Like the only thing I think of when it comes to grapes is wine, and don't feed them to dogs.
Wait, why can't you feed them to dogs?
They have like this chemical in them, or like that causes a negative reaction, like chocolate does. So
Okay,
don't feed your dog grapes.
I wasn't planning on it, but that's one more thing that I can keep my eye out for and say, okay, make sure he doesn't accidentally get the grapes.
But unfortunately, what brings this back together is that like you can make this thing called toilet wine. Have you ever heard of this, Seth?
What is toilet wine?
Going back to the hypothetical where you got grapes smuggled into prison, what you do is you kind of crush them up in your toilet that you share with Crazy Carl, who formerly lived on Parker's Street. You just crush them down, and then you don't go to the bathroom in there, and just let wild yeast ferment it, and then boom, you have made toilet wine.
Why would anyone do such a thing?
Because you're in prison and bored.
Oh, I mean that makes sense. I've never been in prison, and well, actually, I have been bored. I've never been in prison.
Yeah, I mean, what has been your quarantine activity if not toilet wine?
Well, my quarantine activity has primarily consisted of White Claw and TikToks.
I feel like I walked right into that rehashing of last week's episode.
You know what? It's my subtle cry for help.
Well, I feel like maybe you should invest in maybe some winemaking. Wait, actually, don't do that because I hear your dad's sending me winemaking equipment.
I don't know if he is. You guys, if you guys work that out with him, that's fine. I haven't heard that he's giving it to you.
Okay, then I need to go liberate Central Wichita.
Give Brandon Dills a call. So, anyways, I feel like that was well discussed. I'm going to read this next question, and I actually have no clue what it says, Parker.
Wait. I do want to say before we wrap up that question we just kind of wrapped up, don't feed grapes to your dogs. Do not make toilet wine in prison. Okay, go
Yes,
ahead, Seth.
those are very good. And you can quote us on that. You can say, "Why was Seth and Parker?" on
Yes.
whatever day this is, the 10th.
When you get arrested for contraband grapes.
Parker, you know what today is?
Um, I mean, Friday before we send it out into the world.
No, you were supposed to say Sunday. Today is Sunday.
Okay, it's Sunday then.
It's Sunday, and that means it's Mother's
Time is an
Day.
illusion. It is Mother's
It's
Day.
Mother's Day. My
I
mom's
wasn't going
dead,
to
but what
bring
are
it
you
up.
doing with your mom?
I am driving with her to an airport.
Oh, that's not socially distancing, Parker.
It is not socially distancing, but it's going to be a fun time.
Please wear a mask.
We are going to have a little bit of lunch before, and then we're going to go to the airport.
Please wear a mask.
I will. But
I
Seth,
worry
have I ever
about you and your
told
mom.
you my two airport theory?
What is your air? Well, one time doesn't exist in airports,
Yes, but
and
that's
you
not
can
it.
drink anytime you want.
Yes, but that's not my theory.
Okay, theory
My
time.
my two airport theory is this. I love half of airports. Like the first like when you're at an airport, you're by definition going to be at two airports. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, you start at the
You
airport
start
and then you
at
end
one
up at
airport
another
and
one.
then you end up at another.
Yeah, that
That's
makes
kind of
sense.
the
I'm following.
definition of okay. So I love the first airport. The first one is so fun to explore, and of course, me being the person I am, I get there way too early and go past TSA, and there's so many cool little trinkets at the first airport. It's so amazing what you can see and the people watching you can do, and how like you're just kind of maybe starting or ending a journey and reflecting on that. The second airport sucks. Even if it's going to be the first airport on your next trip, the second airport sucks. It's way too uncomfortable, whether it be too hot or too cold. The people are so rude. Everyone just is terrible and just deserves to die in a garbage fire. And then you have to get out there as soon as possible. And then
I,
maybe a week or two or a month later, you come back and it's the first airport, and it's amazing and wonderful. And the cycle repeats.
Parker, I actually agree with a lot of that. The only thing I would disagree on is your second airport, even if you have a connection. I feel like the last airport is the one that sucks. Like
Fair enough. Yes.
your middle ones can go either way.
It depends on how long your layover is. If it's ridiculously short or ridiculously long, it's usually not that great. If it's somewhere in the sweet spot of 2 hours, maybe, I think that's pretty good.
I would agree. So,
What would
okay.
you say is too long for a layover?
Oh, I would say
Like you
any.
would not be willing to go past this point.
Well, if I had a layover of, over, I'd say 8 to 10 hours, it's okay. We're gonna, we will look at risking getting out of the airport and
Oof.
coming back in because of how, and it depends if it's international or just, I forgot the other word, but
So I'm gonna domestic.
domestic. Thank you.
Hypothetically, you want an all-expense paid trip to wonderful, beautiful, let's say Seattle. You want it on the Price is Right one day. So you fly from Kansas City. Of course, they only give out flights through LA, but Kansas City to LA, from LA to Seattle. You ready for this?
Hmm.
How long would you be willing to sit in LAX for that free trip?
Oh, okay. So I've never been to LAX. Have you?
I have, but it was a
Okay.
while ago.
I feel like it would be pretty wild. There would be a lot to look at and do. Um, depending on how, it just depends how I feel and how comfortable I feel with that travel. Because
Well, how do you feel right now? How long are you willing to wait in LAX for your free trip to Seattle?
I would say I'd still wait 8 to 10 hours easily, as
So
long as
if
I
it
had
was
something to do.
12 hours, you wouldn't do it?
I mean, I'd do it. I would probably start to grumble a lot, but I would do it.
So is it 16 hours? Would you do it?
Like, so you're asking me how long I would have to
Yes.
wait. I don't know. I mean, it's free, so I would just go. Like, I just wait.
24 hours
I would
in
not schedule.
LAX.
Why would I schedule a 24-hour layover?
I'm asking how far you're willing to go for this free trip
So I
to
have to
Seattle.
stay in the air. Why do I want to go?
Yes.
Okay, at that point, it'd probably just be better to fly direct to Seattle.
You're okay. You're not
I,
indulging in the hypothetical,
I don't.
therefore,
This
just ask us
hypothetical
another
doesn't make any
question.
sense. The hypothetical is dumb.
You're dumb.
Parker, how long would you wait?
I would wait in LAX for no more than 18 hours.
You've thought about this.
I have not, but I can play with hypotheticals.
Oh, okay.
18 hours is very like the upper bound.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why that would be a bit. It depends,
It
like
would
what.
be an entire day worth.
I could handle a solid layover as long as they had like that airport alcohol.
Seth, would you like to ask us a question where you don't have to engage in hypotheticals?
I like I said, Parker, I have no clue what this question says. I'm just gonna read it. You know it, but I don't know it.
It
So
comes from Reddit, so
I saw that at the end. So I'm gonna read it, and I might or might not have to engage in hypotheticals. I don't think you're ready for how stupid this question is, but it's something that has been plaguing me for years. I'm probably overthinking it, but you know how some fruits and vegetables float because they're hollow? Like, what's that?
capsaicin.
I see that as Capri Suns. What does that say, Parker?
Capsaicin.
Capsaicums, peppers, and mandarins. Mandarins. What gas is actually inside? Is it just oxygen from where the plant has formed when it's grown? If it was grown in an area with bad air quality, would said air be trapped inside? Or is it another type of gas altogether? I'm sorry for being a dumbass. At the very least, I hope this question makes you feel better about your own intelligence.
Thank you, Seth, for that dramatic reading of the Reddit question.
You got to dramatically read Billy Joel
Billy
last
Joel.
week, and I get to dramatically read Reddit questions.
Sounds like a plan.
Do you want to
So,
start
Seth,
us
did you
off?
process that at all?
Yeah, I actually think it's kind of a good question because I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to give everyone a fake answer, and then they can quote me on that fake answer. But
Sounds good. So I say that for the purpose of this discussion, we just talk about bell peppers. You know, those tricolored fruits that are either green, orange, yellow, or red. They go very good in
I wouldn't
chili
say
and stuff like that.
tricolors, but yes.
I mean, at the grocery store, they sell them like that. Sorry. There are quad colors, I guess.
Yeah.
But if I have a bell pepper and I put it in a pail of water, it will float because there's a
Mhm.
bunch of air trapped on the inside. A lot like if you will yourself, the human slightly full of air can float on water,
Yeah.
right? Are you
Yeah,
following me that so far?
yes, yes, skeptically, but I'm following you.
It's all about the buoyancy.
Okay.
So because there is air on the inside, it can float.
Yeah.
So it, as opposed to like let's say an onion will sink because there's no air pockets on the inside.
Yeah.
So that's my theory on why those kinds of fruits and vegetables float as opposed to sink. There's more air on the outside than weight, I guess.
Yeah. No, I completely follow you. Um, and now I would like to actually answer the question about the type of air that's on the inside. It sounds like you've covered the like why it floats part. Um,
Hmm.
I I feel like these plants are actually porous in some way, and so the air can exchange through the tiny pores in the plant. And the as the water moves through it, um, as plants grow, water's moving through it, coming up through the stem, and that can help circulate the air. I would say that's probably where um, there is air exchange. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's bad air quality. I mean, you wouldn't want to like take the air and put it into a scuba mask, but um,
Well,
it's there.
because it would run out quick. That's the only reason in my book.
I mean, it's probably not the best air quality either, but it's probably refreshes itself too. Um, would be my best guess.
Um, I think maybe I want to push back a little bit for
Okay, I
that
like it.
because,
I like it when you push
like,
back, Parker.
plants breathing into the inside of the pepper. Like, think about that image.
Yeah,
So,
and
so the plant is breathing, and it's not like a balloon where, or it's not like
it's like
allowing air. Yeah,
osmosis.
exactly.
Yeah, but with air.
Okay,
And I
if
think,
you say so.
okay, darling.
Okay, boomer. I
Actually, right
legit
now,
thought
Parker,
about saying that to someone during my one trip to the store this week.
I thought you were gonna say during mass, but anyways, do you care to tell that story?
Um, no, I don't, because I don't want to spread dislike or negative energy or juju, because I'm a Midwesterner who's not in the Midwest, and that hurts my feelings at times.
Oh, you have feelings?
Sometimes.
Oh,
On
okay.
the weekends, I allow myself.
Hey, you're making progress. I'm so proud of you. See how I like shared my feelings with you, Parker?
Yes, I appreciate and validate your feelings.
Wow, and we're getting validation. Parker, I need to see your therapist. Like, can I write your therapist a thank you note?
Sure.
They're doing a bang up job with you.
Sounds dandy. Would you like to have one more question before we wrap things up for the week?
Yeah, I'll let you choose because I see two more on our list. And you can choose which one's your favorite.
I think I'm going to choose the one that is a little more audio friendly. If you have a traditional bathtub shower combination, not a walk in shower, do you prefer shower curtains or shower doors? So, do you kind of understand where they're coming from in this question?
Yeah, if you have a bathtub, do you want it to have the doors next to it or do you want to have the curtain on it?
No, no, it's a combo
Yeah, you have
bathtub
a
shower.
bathtub that has a shower head on it.
Hmm.
And so do you want curtains or doors? I want
Actually,
curtains.
I think that it is a shower with a bathtub drain.
We
No,
digress,
no, no. I
Parker.
honestly think that there is a drastic difference.
Okay,
Mainly, I think maybe because I'm a shower person and I give priority to the shower.
okay, so the reason I went that direction is this starts by talking about the bathtub part and emphasizing the bathtub part. Anyways, what do you prefer, Parker?
I am definitely in the curtain camp. But I am more firmly into whatever's there camp.
Yeah, because just take a dang
Because
shower.
it's hard to change from curtain to door or from door to curtain. It requires either a lot of installation or a lot of deinstallation.
That makes total sense. And honestly, like my old place had the door, and
Mhm.
my current place has the curtain, and I prefer the curtain. Just because I don't I just prefer it because it's like the doors, the curtain you can kind of move whichever way you need to. The doors, it's either takes up one full side or the other full side.
And Seth, as a man who is living without the nice womanly touch, how is your bathroom looking? Because last time I saw it, it was a murder zone. It was a very unkempt bathroom.
It was not that unkempt. You need to not be
It,
a
it,
total
it was
jerk.
very unkempt.
It was not that bad, and you can calm yourself. We are not talking about my bathroom on the radio shows.
Why not? If I can't call you out on the radio show, why not?
You can
We're,
call
we're
me
in
out.
Canada.
It
If
is.
we can't talk about your private areas in public spaces, how do you expect me to talk to you about public areas in your private space? Yeah, I just reversed words.
You did, and that actually got me. Anyways, it's fine. It's it's a bathroom. Like so.
Maybe that's what
Anyway,
you can do for me for Mother's Day.
okay.
Clean your bathroom.
Well, it'll start with the leftover White Claw cans that I have like rinsing out, so that way I can recycle them.
Well, Seth, do you traditionally take baths or showers in your combo?
I'm a shower like I'll like every once in a while I just need like a bath with like some Epsom salt to like just calm my body, but more often than not I'm a shower person.
Good on it.
Are
I feel
you a
that,
shower person
yes, every
100%
morning.
or
If I sit and draw myself a bath, I get bored within 30 minutes. Even if
even
I
if you
have
have
like the
wine?
book, a glass of wine, soft classical music playing, candles, I'm like, yep, this is very relaxing. Okay, I'm done.
I am relaxed.
Yes, I have been relaxed. That's what you sound like with your new mic.
Do I sound like Darth Vader yet?
No, it sounds like the crowd goes wild. You know,
Well, I mean, the
like,
crowd
do
would
you
go wild.
believe in miracles?
Have you met me, Parker?
Unfortunately.
You know, if I could unmeet me too, I would. And on that note, are there any
And
other
on that
questions
note,
that we need to talk about before this train wreck pulls into the station?
yeah, I have a question. Please send us questions at Seth and Parker, all one word, at gmail.com. That's Seth and Parker at gmail.com. That is my last question of the day, except for this one. Seth, what did we learn today?
So what we have learned applies to our lives today.
Please
Parker
stop.
has
That
a
might be
lot to
copyrighted.
say. I said Parker, a lot to say in this show.
We learned that
No,
Seth is not a great singer.
we've known that for years. I've actually been working on my confidence, and so I'm really glad that I sang for everyone. That doesn't happen very often. Anyways, what we have learned today, there are actually 10 Santas worldwide.
And most of them are on the Canadian Supreme Court. We also learned that children and sociopaths are like rectangles and squares. You can't have one without the other.
Also learned, don't flush wipes, do flush grapes. Also, don't keep your wallet in your back pocket.
But don't flush grapes because toilet wine, it's oh so good and good for you, as long as you don't get shivved for it.
And that's what we learned today.
That is.
Folks, thank you for joining us this week. Join us next week or year or decade when we continue to give bad advice, make more inappropriate jokes, and answer the age-old question, do fish ever get thirsty? In the meantime, send an email to sethandparker@gmail.com with any questions you might like us to discuss. Signing off. Bye, Parker.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.